And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Golden State Warriors, I want to talk to you, the people, about a few quick things. If you are watching this on Saturday, we had a new episode drop, episode number 12 of season 2. So make sure to tune into that episode. This week, we talk about past NBA franchises that dealt with long losing streaks, much like the Detroit Pistons, and years and years and years of losing. And we kind of talk about the pattern that each of those teams took in order for them to have success now in today's NBA. So we talk about teams like the Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, the Denver Nuggets, and a few other teams on how they kind of developed their great rosters over the years, and to kind of show us Pistons fans what it might take for the Detroit Pistons to once again see success. Also, before we get into tonight's recap, I want to make sure to remind you guys to like and subscribe. If you are new to the channel and new to Revved Up 906 content, make sure to subscribe, because if you want to be in the know with everything that's going on with the Detroit Pistons, you have to be subscribed to Revved Up 906. And then if you like our content, enjoy it, make sure to comment below and give us a thumbs up. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's recap of the Golden State Warriors versus the Detroit Pistons. Tonight's final score was 109-113 in the Golden State Warriors' favor. And Ryan, when talking about tonight's game, we saw what is kind of typical as of late. Great play from Cade Cunningham in the fourth quarter. He finished with 13 points in the fourth quarter. But really, what decided tonight's game was costly fouls and turnovers by a couple Detroit Pistons, and to specify, Jaden Ivey. And then Steph Curry is just very, very good and one of the best to ever do it. He really solidified this win for the Golden State Warriors. But Ryan, when talking about tonight's matchup of the Warriors versus Pistons, what are some of the first things you want to talk about?
Kevin Knox. He all season long has been a great addition to this team ever since we brought him back. We have that one extra roster spot to start off the year, and Weaver's like, hey, I need to fill this spot, because it's why not just fill it? And why not bring back someone that we know and what we're going to get out of him? And that's Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox, the last couple nights out, has been one of those stellar players coming in and performing at opportune times. He's actually been starting for us lately too, and I honestly can't complain, because what he's doing, given these opportunities, he's succeeding. Tonight finished with 18 points, 7 of 13 from the field in 23 minutes, 4 of 8 from 3, along with 2 blocks, a steal, 3 assists, and a rebound. Didn't turn the ball over once. And then he had the 3 fouls, which, yeah, they at the time they weren't costly, so it is what it is. Fouls happen, but Kevin Knox lately has been putting on an absolute clinic.
Yeah, and the biggest thing with Knox is we've known, even when he got drafted by the Knicks and had his stint with the Hawks and so on, that he can score. And he showed that in his first stint with the Detroit Pistons. The only thing is that wasn't connecting is the effort and consistency. But Kevin Knox is playing very, very well right now and consistent, which is the biggest thing. And something that I noticed is Kevin Knox in the mid third quarter made a couple mistakes, a couple fouls, and he was getting upset. And I'm like, you know what we've never seen from Kevin Knox is like emotion, or like, oh, I messed up, or where he was really into the game. It seems right now with the Detroit Pistons, he is very present within himself, trying to make a push for this team. And I really appreciate that from Kevin Knox, because Yes, the points, the 18 points is amazing. I'd love to see that for him because that means a lot for his career as
Yeah.
if it's with the Pistons or with more teams. I want to see this guy in the NBA, but to see him in it, wanting to win, wanting to play well, showing emotion, that's a big sign from Kevin Knox because I don't really think NBA fans, NBA executives have seen that from him in his career yet. So the fact that he's got a fire underneath him right now is just absolutely great. When talking about tonight's matchup, you have to bring up Bojan Bogdanovic because he was a missing factor tonight. He did end up with double-digit points in 12, but really the biggest thing that hurt us was the 5 of 19 shooting. And it seemed in the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, such crucial moments, the Pistons and Warriors going back and forth, battling for the lead. And Bojan Bogdanovic had some crucial ball hog misses. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed it, but for me, I yelled at the TV screen twice. Bojan forced up a three, guarded by basically two guys. And remember, this is crucial moments. This isn't just the second quarter or whatever it might be. This is the last 4 minutes when the Pistons are battling for the lead or down by three, trying to catch the lead. And Bojan ball hogs the 3-point shot, forces it up, and then he forces a drive with a missed errored layup. Two crucial possessions for the Detroit Pistons that was just brutal to see. And we saw him finish with 26% from the field and then 25%, 2 of 8 to be exact, from the 3-point line. But when we are missing Bojan's consistent scoring, it is just such a hindrance to the Pistons. He is so, if he's going to score well offensively, the Pistons are that much better for it.
Yeah, and that's my one little, I guess you could say, knock on him. Is like that's what we're missing. We're missing an offensive weapon when it comes to our team right now as a whole. So without him doing his thing, and you still have Alec Burks, who played great tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to take 13 points off the bench from him any given night. But when you're missing the play out of Bojan, it really puts a damper on our offense because, no offense, but Isaiah Livers is not that guy. Jaden Ivey, even though he's been playing great lately, he's shooting pretty darn efficiently, making good plays in certain moments. The fourth quarter was not great for him. But that being said, like, I'm still not trusting Ivy to take those clutch shots that Bojan would take. Obviously, Duran is going to be a paint beast. That's about it from him. And then Cade, he's going to pretty much, during that whole sequence in the fourth quarter, everybody, they stuck Jonathan Kuminga on him, who's one of their better defenders. And if not Kuminga, they're having somebody on Cade 24/7 trying to lock him up. So you're going to obviously need an outside weapon, somebody who can produce offensively. But Bojan was not here tonight. And yeah, he was a big piece, and Alec Burks was a big piece in the game against the Jazz that we took them to overtime, lost 154 to 148. It was a close-knit game all the way through. He was clutching that. I'm sure he was tired from it. And then you're traveling to San Francisco, and it's just a whole thing. And he's older, you get it. But without Bojan or an offensive piece there, it really puts a damper on our offense to the point where Cade is forcing up shots that he normally wouldn't take, or Ivy's feeling like he needs to have the ball in his hands a little bit more, or just like that one pass that Ivy tried to make, the kick out to Alec Burks, and then Burks wasn't there, and then it just turnover right there. So like without Bojan being Bojan, this team struggles, and it's putting a damper on what we could be because all the way throughout the game, we were pretty darn good offensively, especially in the certain situations where Bojan had the ball in his hands. He was making good plays. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, third quarter hit, Bojan disappears, and that normally doesn't happen. And so it's always the next man up mentality, and it never ends well for us. So if Bojan can be consistent like he was against the Jazz, like he has been the last couple nights out, that'll be big for us. But tonight, it wasn't big for us. It actually hurt us.
Something I wanted to mention in tonight's recap is the Pistons' rock solid defense tonight against the Warriors. Because in the Pistons' last two outings, They allowed the Utah Jazz to get 154 points. And then the game before that, they allowed the young Houston Rockets to score 136. The Pistons have been allowing a lot of scoring for their opposing teams they go up against these last couple of outings. And to keep the Golden State Warriors within 113 points is just terrific. And there wasn't a specific quarter where the Golden State Warriors went on an absolute tear. Like we saw against the Houston Rockets, there was like a 36 point or a 42 point quarter. And that was just killer, especially if it's the third quarter, like it was against the Rockets. But they didn't allow the Warriors to really have a quarter where they dominated. The Pistons did a very good job of switching very well on defense for the most part through three quarters, keeping the fouls at a minimum. That's still a struggle of the Pistons, but I think they're starting to turn a bit of a corner in that category. But it was great to see the Pistons have a good defensive outing against this vetted Golden State Warriors team, because they needed it for themselves as like a confidence builder on the defensive side of the ball. It was huge.
Yeah, in 2 quarters, the Warriors outscored us by 4 points, and that was the first half. First quarter, they outscored us 22-20. Second quarter, 28-26, and then third and fourth quarter, we tied at 29-34. Like, usually we're a little bit better on defense in the first half compared to the second half. So the fact that we held the Warriors to the same amount of points as we had in both those 2 quarters, and those 2 quarters were great for us offensively. Like, we, at one point, we were on a 15-6 run in the fourth quarter there. And that was in a situation where I'm sitting there going, like, are we actually going to close this game out and win it?
Yeah.
And then you have Curry, who is the greatest shooter of all time, one of the greatest players to ever do it. All of a sudden, boom, lights a spark. He's on fire. Game over. He just won the game for the Warriors. But that's the kind of player that Curry is. And so that's no fault of the Pistons, because it's hard to contain greatness. And like Curry tonight, it's a very quiet 26 points, because what he did in just like a quarter, essentially, that's how it came to be 26 points. In his game tonight, 31 minutes played, 26 points, 7 of 19 from the field, 4 of 12 from 3, which is not great for him. 8 of 9 from the line, had 6 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And then he turned the ball over 4 times. And Curry normally doesn't turn the ball over that much. So the fact that it took all the way up until the fourth quarter for Curry to finally do something, it shows you how good defensively we were on those switches, how we were positioning ourselves on defense. Like, Ivy was all over the place tonight defensively, along with Cade. Bojan was, honestly, that was probably Bojan's best defensive game tonight. Yeah, he was lacking on offense, but he was filling those passing lanes in opportune times that allowed us to have a lot of fast break points. I believe we had over 26 fast break points tonight, which is not bad for us at all. And at one point, it was pretty much, I don't remember what point in the game it was, but it read off 26 points off of turnovers for us, which is great. And then the Warriors at that point only had 9. So the fact that our defense was such a big factor in us even staying in this game and then competing all the way through to the end, it shows you the growth of this team throughout this losing streak into this new kind of like back and forth win and loss kind of streak that we're on right now. And I'm very impressed.
I hate to be this guy, but I am this guy. It seemed to me that the Golden State Warriors got every call in the refs' favor, and the Detroit Pistons didn't get many things that were in their favor. I thought there was plenty of missed calls on Cade and Jaden tonight in the paint that should have been called and weren't. Not saying that that decides this game. I don't think the game was close enough where the Pistons really fought well through those calls, but there was plenty of times where I thought there were missed calls on the Pistons offense. But the next thing I just wanted to mention that because it's like, man, these superstars really do be getting the calls, especially the Golden State Warriors, such a dynasty. But one thing I wanted to talk about, it seemed pretty evident to me in tonight's game that Duren and Cade's chemistry is just really starting to click at a high level. Cade only finished with 3 assists tonight, but I could feel a shift in Cade's play where he is trying to get the ball to Duren. And then Duren is turned into a double-double machine. This is his 9th consecutive double-double with 13 points and 12 rebounds. But Ryan, is that something you've noticed too in watching these last couple outings, is that Cade, when he's getting double teamed, he's really learning how to set up Duren in the paint. It just seems to be clicking as of recent.
Yeah, these last couple games, especially tonight, the way they were playing, it really made me feel like what I was hearing from over the summer when Cade and Duren were playing on the select team for Team USA over the summer. And you had Kerr, who was obviously coach for Team USA, going like, hey, Cade, can you play like Luka and mimic him a little bit here? And Cade pretty much exactly played like Luka, and was the chemistry from that to Duren during that team select period, it was like off the charts. Like this was looking pretty darn good for this season. And then we hadn't really seen that early on until these last couple games. And tonight it just was like, okay, we better buckle down because this is going to be something special. And I was just really happy with their play because yeah, Cade with the 3 assists, it wasn't much, but like even without getting an assist counted for, it was like they were in sync the entire game. Like Cade was always looking for Duren. Duren was always looking for Cade, setting good screens, trying to work the pick and roll. And then if not, it seemed like everything that was focused on them ended up helping the rest of the players on the team. It helped Jaden Ivey fill the lanes, get good kickouts. It helped Bojan make good passes, threading the needle in certain situations. Like the team, I think, really works pretty darn well off of Duren and Cade working together, to the point where if it keeps going like the way it has, I see this kind of like going into a win streak, because the way that they're playing right now in tandem, it's kind of hard to stop a big and a guard in the NBA today. It is pretty hard. And the fact of when they're playing so good in a unit, it's even harder to contain. And I'm really excited because like Duren had 6 shots, made all of them. Very efficient from the field, obviously 100%, then misses 1 free throw, 13 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, turned the ball over once, but that's not a lot for him and not a lot in general. And then had 2 fouls, and normally he has foul troubles. And so he only had 2 fouls. Great tonight. Cade, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls. Like those 2 just worked so closely and so well tonight that it opens your eyes and gets you excited for games to come.
Well, and the thing about it too, like you talking about the turnovers and the shooting percentage, it's efficient basketball too. When they are working with each other, it's smart basketball, the way it should be played. That true pick and roll game, but also the point guard setting up the big man. It's the way basketball was intended to be played, and it's great to see. When talking about Cade's game tonight, he is just playing on another level as of late. He was really unstoppable tonight. When Cade wanted to score, he scored. It really clicked for me when Jonathan Kuminga, like you mentioned earlier in the recap, is one of the better defenders on the Golden State Warriors. Kuminga picked up Cade full court. Cade gets up the court and runs right down and scores an easy scoop up layup on Kuminga. And Cade kind of looks at the bench, kind of like, yeah, I know, I'm the man. You know, like he scored at will tonight. He finished with 30 points and 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and then fairly efficient, 13 of 22 from the field. Struggled from 3-point line, but he made up for it in the paint. But there is a point in the 4th quarter where the Pistons went on a 10-0 run with 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and Cade had 5 of those points. He is so good in the late stretches of games. Like I'm not sure what it is, but Cade is legit. And I just wish his play led to some wins. But unfortunately, he just needs some help right now. But Cade, I just wanted to spend some time to talk about his greatness. He's playing on another level right now.
Yeah, George Blaha was calling the game tonight with Greg, and he'd been missing a couple games. And us as Pistons fan, George Blaha is a legend. We're obviously going to miss him every single time he's not calling a game.
Oh yeah.
But he made note of it too. Like, it's so sad that the Pistons are losing right now because Cade is playing out of his mind. We're seeing greatness before our eyes, and all the people in the league, all the fans can really take note of. Oh, the Pistons suck. They keep losing, but like Cade is just playing so good right now. Like 13 of 22. The fact you're taking 22 shots alone shows you're the guy of the team. But then you're making 13 of it. Like that's not bad at all. I mean, 1 of 7 from three. Yeah, that's not great. You missed 6 shots from that deep, but K is slowly progressing into becoming a three-point shooter. That's not what he's known for. He's known for being a beast in the paint. That's who he is, hitting those mid-range jump shots. But the three-point shot, it'll get there. But the fact that he's consistently giving us 30-point outings with ease, like it's so easy to him. Like he doesn't have to work his tail off. It wasn't until like the beginning of the year where we're seeing, I forget who it was, but we're seeing these teams double teaming him.
Oh
And
yeah.
Cade all of a sudden disappears off the face of the earth, and you're going like, "Oh, Cade is not looking good right now. What the heck is going on?" And then all of a sudden, boom, you're not double teaming him. He's putting on an absolute clinic, and it shows you that teams are scared of him if they're double teaming him for one. Um, but it's like what he's been able to do on this 28 game losing streak all the way till this point. It's been very impressive basketball because he's shooting at a very efficient rate. And then not only that, but he's still dishing out passes left and right to open teammates. And they're starting to play great cohesive basketball. The only damper effect is like, as we mentioned earlier, with Bojan disappearing tonight, like the 12 points, that hurts us. Like we need a collection of guys around him because if Cade is going to be this great, and I know he's giving opportunities to others, but these others, they need to be hitting these shots. Bojan needs to be hitting these shots. Livers, who has been starting recently, who I really don't think should be starting. He's been giving these shots where he should be hitting them, but he's not. You look at Asar Thompson, yeah, he barely played tonight, only 9 minutes, but in certain situations, he's given these opportunities, and these guys aren't hitting the shots when they need to. And that's putting a damper effect on what Cade has been able to do for us. Because if the team's not playing well and Cade's playing great, it's a lose-lose. Even though Cade is playing out of his mind, the team needs to be there for him, and they just haven't been. And that's what's sad because we are really watching greatness happen before our eyes.
Yeah, you mentioned in the early stages of this season, Cade getting double teamed. And that's been a truism ever since they started doing that in the first week of the season. He gets double teamed, sometimes triple teamed every game. But the difference between it happening in the first week of the season and now is he's learning how to combat it. So the NBA better be very scared because he got double teamed most of the game tonight and put up 30 on your favorite team. So good luck in a couple weeks because he's going to keep learning. And I think that's why the Duren and Cade's chemistry is growing because Duren's starting to be one of those bailout passes guy for him. As soon as he feels the pressure of the double team and he can't split the defender or get baseline, he dumps it off to that extra guy, and it's typically Duren because Cade really hovers around the mid range. So it's going to be very, very dangerous, especially in a couple years because Cade's learning and he's learning quick. So the NBA better take advantage of it now because one day you're not going to be able to, and he's going to be getting dubs on the dubs. That will do it for tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Golden State Warriors. Tonight's final score was 109 to 113. Before you guys leave, please support Grind Clothing Co. You can click the link and see all their current merch drops, and they have merch drops almost couple times a month, for sure once a month. So make sure to go follow Grind Clothing Co. on Instagram, and go check out some of their designs. They got designs for everybody's eye, everybody's cup of tea. So make sure to go check out Grind Clothing Co. They are our official merch sponsor. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.